I hope you're winning at home this week, not just at work. We say if you win at work and you lose at home, you still lose. We're doing everything we can to win outside of work this week. And one of the things I think you can do is spend more time reading. I was reminded years ago of just how little people think this way. Somebody told me at the end of one of my talks, I vowed when I graduated from high school never read another book, and I've kept my promise. And by the way, the guy was not very impressive. But if you really want to grow, I think you're going to need to spend some time reading. And I think the average person now reads about a book a year, which is like, what? Are you kidding me? I'm giving you 5 this week that I think are just extraordinary opportunities for us to grow. And today's book, on the heels of Inner Excellence and the Divine Conspiracy, the last couple of days, those, again, go check out those episodes. But today we're talking Necessary Endings. This book also has been around for a little while. It's by psychologist Henry Cloud. I met Henry one time. I just fascinated by this book, and the book is incredible. He uses the analogy of a rose bush at the beginning. He talks about a gardener who, you have to prune the bush, and one of the things that he talks about in here is that the bush, it's got more basically buds than it has nutrients to supply the buds. I think, and then he likens it to our lives, and he I love this. He says, except that life produces too much life. It's our lives just have too much life coming at us. And here's what he says: it can be too much. Pruning has to take place if we're going to thrive in our lives, and we need to accept the fact that life produces more. And here's his list: relationships than you can nurture. You cannot have 1,000 relationships and nurture them all. That's not going to happen. You're going to need to focus. You got more activities than you can keep up with at any significant level. And I don't know about you, but man, our calendars get so full if we're not careful. And I've said here on the podcast before that noise makes it onto my schedule, whether I schedule it or not, but quiet won't make it there unless I put it there. And so if you're going to really have the life that you want, I think you're going to need to prune some of those activities that are really cluttering your life. Your life is going to produce more clients than you can service, all in the same way. It's going to, there are going to be more mentors than that who fit once, but whose time has passed. In other words, you can't have the same mentor probably all the time, because you're going to need new mentors for some stuff. You're going to have more partners whose time has passed, more product lines than you can focus on if you're thinking work, more strategies than you can execute, more stuff than you have room for and can store. I mean, anybody got more stuff than you need? It's, like we have TV shows now about hoarding, and okay, so what, are we kidding? I remember years ago, my mom and dad had a business with some warehouses that people would actually pay. They do everywhere. There's people who have storage units that they would pay to keep the stuff that they never looked at or never used. And it just, man, when I start thinking about my life, especially now that I'm getting older, but I would say to anybody younger, don't get in the pattern of just adding more stuff and adding more relationships and adding more clutter to your life and your calendar. If you're not careful, here's what Henry says. He says, without the ability to end things, necessary endings, without the ability to end things, people stay stuck. Right now, you may be stuck because you've not had the courage to end whatever it is you need to end. And you may need to leave your job, or you may need to leave your group, or you may need to leave I don't know what you need, but I know so many times if we're not willing to say no, we're not able to say yes. And so I want to challenge you to really think through your life right now. Are there things that are hindering you, keeping you from your best down the road? He says getting to the next level always requires ending something. And man, how powerful is that? If you're going to go to the next level, you're going to have to let go of the current level. And I think there's just a truth in us that we like the security of the current level. We like safety. We like comfort. And yet the reality is we're much more courageous being courageous than we are, much more comfortable being courageous than we are being comfortable, if you think about it. And so endings are, they're a part of life. We know that. We know our lives are going to end. We know our careers are going to end. We know stuff ends, and yet do we have the courage to end it? And one of the things Henry says I thought so powerful is he talks about how the best leaders in the world, the top 1% of leaders, what separates them from everybody else. I mean, like if you start thinking about elite athletes or elite musicians or elite, I mean, the perfect, example is that person who is that 1% at the top of their game. What is it? And in athletics, we would, we could look at that, and music again, we could look at that. There's probably some natural building, some practice for sure goes into that, and hard work and all that kind of stuff. But he says for leaders, what separates the best of the best from all the rest is their ability to say no. And I have seen this over and over in my life when I have had the courage to let go of something and to move forward towards something. It's possible to get to that better place. But if you're not willing to let go, Henry says it best, you really do just stay stuck. And so I want to challenge you today as you think about this concept. Are there some places in your life where it's time for an ending? You've been needing somebody to remind you. You've been, I mean, it in your heart. It's time, but you really need to let go if you're going to do something better in the future, and you're going to go after that excellence that we talked about, that inner excellence. And you're going to have that, and you're really going to achieve some of the things that you dream about achieving. You're going to have to let go of some things. And if you're going to start something, let me remind you, it's going to take an inordinate amount of energy on the front end. When we start something, it takes massive amounts of energy. You can't have that energy diverted somewhere else. Now, when you start thinking about this, especially in the workplace, if we're not careful, where the energy gets diverted from is home. We don't want that. We've got to be willing to let go of some things if we're going to be able to focus on those areas that matter most. And I'm going to play my card here that I think home matters. It's at the top of your list. So let's don't forfeit that for sure. But at home, there may be some things you need to let go of. Maybe as simple as I need to spend less time on social media, or I need to spend less time wasting it watching television, or fill in your blank. Are there things that you need to let go of if you're going to have the life that you want? It may be time for some necessary endings. So I wanted to remind you that book's been so helpful to me. I got a buddy of mine, and we've talked about this book through the years. I think both of us would put it in our top 5 books we've ever read. And just the context of it, because we as leaders, we have the tendency to have more opportunities, more stuff on our schedules, in our lives, in our families, than we're able to have enough nutrients or capacity is the way I would say it for. And so if that's the case, we're going to have to be willing to say no and prune some stuff back. So give that a little thought here today, and see if there's maybe 1 or 2 things that you need to prune. I'll leave you with a thought from Bob Goff. He's a great writer as well. Maybe we'll focus on one of Bob's books here going forward. But Bob says that he tries to quit something every Thursday. This is because he knows it just keeps growing. It's almost like our closet, right? You just get more clothes. And what are we doing to let go of some of those things that are holding us back? So today, Necessary Endings, great book. Got another good one for you tomorrow. I'll tell you the story of this week and how this came about, and how hard it was for me to put my rear end in this chair and to do the work. And I got a book that helps remind me of the importance of that. And I'll share it with you tomorrow. I hope you'll join us for that. Remember, winning begins at home.